All right, so as marketers, we design our promotional strategy to try to get a certain message across to a certain audience. But what that message should be and who that audience is that we should target depends on a lot of different things. One thing that it can depend on, depending on what type of product we have, is something called the innovation adoption curve. This is most relevant to new products, as you might guess from the name. Sometimes technological products, but really any new product is subject to this thing called the innovation adoption curve. So what is that? Well, it's a way of modeling and tracking individuals' use of new products or technology over time. Well, what does that really mean, and how does that relate to our promotional strategy? I think it'd be helpful if we sketch this out. So let's do that now. Okay, so let's take a look at this thing called the innovation adoption curve. I'm no great artist, so bear with me, but I think I can sketch this out in a way that'll be helpful. The main thing here is that we have time on what we call the x-axis, and over here we have what we could call adopters. So the idea behind this innovation adoption curve is that at first, not a whole lot of people are going to jump out and grab the product as soon as it's available. But then, over time, it's going to increase, and then it's going to level out towards the end there. So what do I mean? Well, if we look at this, what we can say is there are different groups of customers or people out there who are going to be more or less quick to adopt a new product. And so what we have here is we actually have 5 groups of people. Now, knowing exactly who's in these groups is hard, but that's not the important part. The important part is just knowing these groups exist and that at different stages of our product's existence, these different groups are going to be the people we need to target with our promotional strategy. So in the first group, we have our innovators. And please bear with my handwriting as well. But these are our innovators right here. Depending on who you ask, these numbers can be different, but I'll say it's about 3 to 5%. Next, we have this group, which are called early adopters. And as you can see, this is a much bigger group than the innovators. In fact, depending on who you ask, this could be anywhere from 10 to 15%. Next, we have what's called, finish off this arrow down here. Next, we have what's called the early majority. So we're getting into a much bigger group here. This could be about a third of people, roughly 34%. After them, we have the late adopters, which is roughly another 34%. And then we have anywhere from 5 to 15% what are called laggards. These are the absolute last customers to to adopt new technology. So you might think about this in terms of, that's an O. All right, you might think about this in terms of smartphones or cell phones in general. At first, very few people would use them because they were expensive and unfamiliar. Then the early adopters came along and said, that looks like a useful product to have, so I'm going to get one of those. Next, we had the early majority as cell phones became more common, and the late majority came after that, and then finally the laggards adopted last. Where we are in this process would dictate how we would try to promote our product. And so it would be key to our promotional strategy to understand the innovation adoption curve.